it is my distinct pleasure to be here addressing on the topic of the role of the Muslim media in creating communal harmony and community development in India. I must confess that I'm not a media expert. I'm a humble person with the humble roots, born in Azamgarh, who spent many years in India, then moved to the United States of America. Those experiences provide the insights and perspective that I bring to this talk. They shape my observation and opinions on the concepts of communal harmony and in community development and the role of the media in creating an atmosphere conducive to such a condition. I would assert that an atmosphere of communal peace and harmony would not be created by accident. It must be a consequences created through a strong belief and concerted and sustained effort over time. It must be an outcome that overcomes the religious, regional, and racial boundaries. How do we reach the ideal state? We begin with where we are. Find our shared values, leverage our strength, and then chart a path to where we want to be. As an example of discovering our shared value, let me draw upon the teaching of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, the founder of Aligarh Muslim University, where I went to school, and Pandit Malavia, the founder of Banaras Hindu University, where I grew up. These men were visionaries who saw the world not through religious binders, but through an expansive view of what a strong and inclusive faith can do to unite us rather than divide us. Pandit Malavia instructed us, and I quote, "India is not a country of the Hindus only. It is a country of the Muslims, the Christians, and the Parsis too. The country can gain strength and develop itself only when the people of India live in mutual goodwill and harmony." Sir Syed expressed a similar philosophy, stating that the graduates of Aligarh Muslim University shall go forth through the length and the breadth of the land to preach the gospel of free inquiry, of large-hearted toleration, and of pure morality. While there was not a religious bond between these two gentlemen, but there was undoubtedly a spiritual bond between the two. Indeed, it might be said they were soulmates. They committed themselves in building bridges of understanding and cooperations among various faiths. That is why, even though we are here to speak about communal harmony and community development, I'd like to reframe our discussion just a little bit to talk about creating a spiritual common ground. That is because spirituality, religious, transcends religious, racial, and regional boundaries. The Spirit is the invisible force that brings us together regardless of our particular predispositions. In this regard, I'm reminded by the words of President John F. Kennedy, who in speaking before the Protestant Council of New York City in November of 1963, just weeks before the assassination, said, "The family of man is not limited to a single race or religion, to a single city or a country. The family of man is nearly 3 billion strong. Most of the members are not white, and most of them are not Christian." The President Kennedy went on to say, "The members of this family should be at peace with one another." As we gather here tonight to explore the terrain of the communal harmony and the community development in India, we would do well to remember President Kennedy's words and recall the advice of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan and Pandit Malavia. Let us do so, not by looking to the heaven and to the gods whom we worship, but by looking at the earth and the people and the family that we are. As that family, let us think and dedicate ourselves to creating a spiritual common ground. In my opinion, we can create this spiritual common ground through a common communion, a common cause, and a common crusade. I know the words communion, cause, and crusade have religious overtones. I use this word in ecumenical sense rather than a religious one. Therefore, we need to make common communion by speaking together about how to forge a stronger bond among those all persuasion with all the faiths. We need to establish a common cause by developing a plan what can be done to strengthen these bonds that binds us together as one family. We need to join in a common crusade to work here in India to implement that plan and to form a universal family. A common communion, a common cause, and a common crusade are abstract terms. They need to be made concrete and actionable in order to create an atmosphere of communal peace and harmony here in India. They need to be translated into a framework for change. There are many things that should and can be done in order to establish such a framework. Opinions differ, but what should be done at the top of the list? The one that I consider most important as priorities and precondition for creating communal harmony and community development throughout India are building the spiritual common ground that I have said before. But equal opportunity, the elimination of poverty, we know it today, and educational equity for all, regardless of who they are. Let me amplify some of these things. We need to work together to build a spiritual common ground. We should expand cross-cultural education, people to people, and interfaith exchanges. Schools at all levels in India can and should play a vital role in diffusing communal tensions and helping our youth understand an evolving environment and the need for collaborations and cooperation. We need to work together to find equal opportunities in jobs and advancement for all citizens in this country, regardless of color, creed, caste, background, or beliefs. Discrimination can shatter people's ambitions, aspirations, and dreams. We should do well to remember that no nation, no country, no race, no civilization has the monopolies on the values of freedom, justice, and human dignity. We need to work together to eliminate the poverty in our country. Several reports that I have seen have deepened my understanding of how entrenched the poverty in the Indian Muslim community has become. Poverty drains institutions. Poverty crushes the hope of the people, especially the Muslim youth. They share a city but not a community. They share a common dwelling but not in a common effort. They confront hostility and open prejudice. But this is not who we are as an Indian. Poverty also fuels a dangerous mix of desperations and frustrations, and as a result can result in an instability that erupts into communal violence, and violence breeds violence. If we come together as a people of faith and one united family, we can together eradicate the poverty from Muslims community. We need to work together to eliminate disparities in education. The disparities in education today in this country are striking. Lack of access to education crushes people's chance for growth and development. The greatest gift we can give is the gift of education and uplift the soul. It is a powerful equalizer, opening doors to all to lift themselves out of poverty. As President Obama said, education will be the currency of the 21st century. It frees the human mind from the shackles of ignorance. So who are we? We is all of us. Eventually, this should become a shared societal imperative. More narrowly, the responsibility for initiating and shepherding the necessary changes to create an atmosphere of communal harmony and community development must fall to all people and all leaders from all fields: business, politics, religion, education, healthcare, and yes, especially the media. We have much work to do in working together. So let me expand on the leadership role of the media and its responsibility to ensure the work is done and that we work together to do it. As I said earlier, I'm not an expert in the media, but my time in the United States has given me an exposure and a viewpoint that might be useful. So before I outline my thoughts, I want to celebrate India as the largest democracy in the world, and the lessons in democracy that India has taught the United States and the world is by the manner in which the most recent national elections were conducted and the active participation of all of the Indian citizens. The Indian media, in conjunction with other media, shone a bright light on election process. In so doing, communicated those lessons worldwide. Having exported our lessons in democracy through the Indian media, I think it is appropriate to import some lessons from our media from the United States of America. American democracy does not exist because of the media, but it would not and could not exist without it. It is suffice to say that the free press in India and the United States has been a cornerstone of the democracy since its establishment. In the 21st century, the question becomes, what are the key functions that the news media should play in a representative democracy as India it is? Let me give you an example that has been outlined by Professor Michael Shuston of Columbia. He identified 6 things for the media's responsibility. Information provided fairly and fully. Investigation into concerted source of power. Analysis, furnishing in-depth and the coherent frameworks to help explain complex topics and issues. Social empathy, describing the conditions and the situations of others in society, especially the disadvantaged. Public forum, being a centralized communication vehicle for dialogue and discourse on issues and matters of importance. Mobilization, advocating for particular positions, programs, or actions. So, I think the function that Professor Shuston has specified apply perfectly to the media's primary role and responsibilities for creating an atmosphere of communal peace and communal harmony and community development. So I'll add to this list a following recommendation from the United States study from the Knight Commission on the information needs of the communities in a democratic society. Number 1, maximize the availability of relevant and credible information to all citizens and their community. Number 2, strengthen the capacity of individuals to engage with information. Number 3, promote the individual engagement with information and the public of the community. To sum it up, let me repeat what I said earlier. That is, the media needs to be leader in building that framework for communal harmony and community development. This demands that media be a proactive participant in the process of creation rather than a passive bystander and reporter of current events. So I have covered a lot of territory, and there is much work to do. As I have noted, the work requires a common communion, a common cause, and a common crusade. It demands a framework for change. The work must begin, however, by imagining all an atmosphere of communal peace and harmony. Imagining will not make it so, but not imagining will make it impossible. You journalists here today can be the leader in sparking that imagining. You must be our Imagineers. Through your words, you can call us to action. Through your words, you can document our success and failures. Through your words, you can keep us keeping on. In closing, let me extend my congratulations to those of you receiving this award here today. You are doing the God's work. You are doing the people's work. You are doing the work that needs to be done to promote community harmony and community development throughout in this great nation. My hat is off and my hands are together for you. Finally, thanks to all of you for listening to me to talk about this topic, which is so near and dear to me, to my heart, and my last name, Islam, is imprinted on my soul. My wish for you and all of India is peace, love, understanding. Imagine that. Imagining and making it happen here in India will set the example for the world to follow. Who knows what might come next?